Good afternoon. It's Allison Adamovitz, women's transformational life coach, owner of the Worthiness Well, and host of the Empowered Woman's Blueprint. And I'm here today with the fabulous Tami Goulet. I met Tami a while ago, and we have had such inspiring and enjoyable conversations. And I know you're going to get to experience one of those conversations right now. She's got so many things to recommend her. I'm actually just going to read it straight here so I don't forget anything. Tami Goulet is a certified energy healer, international speaker, and best-selling author who helps soul-led women break free from societal expectations, rediscover their worth, and reclaim their power. Through her C.I.R.C.L.E method, that's C-I-R-C-L-E, seasonal rituals, and intuitive mentorship, she guides clients through deeply transformational experiences that blend practical strategies with spiritual wisdom. Known for her warm presence and straight-talking insights, Tami empowers women to realign their lives with truth, freedom, and self-love, one magical shift at a time, which
Absolutely.
aligns perfectly with the whole theme of our masterclass series. So welcome, Tami. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for accepting our invitation.
Well, thank you, Allison. It is wonderful to be here. I love helping people transform their lives one small
Absolutely.
shift at a time.
Absolutely. And that's the only way to do it. We all know that if some of these programs and things that sort of, guarantee that something's going to just happen like that, uh, really, they don't last because they're not sustainable. If we're going to change our thinking patterns, our behaving patterns, our emotional patterns, we have to do it a step at a time.
We do. And we also have to realize and remember that, like everything else, we have layers and depth to us.
Mhm.
So we may address something up at this level that we think we've fully dealt with, and then something, we'll go a little bit deeper and we'll have to readdress it again. And it doesn't mean you're failing, it means you're growing and continuing to heal. I don't know
Right. And
how many of my clients are like, but why am I feeling this again? I thought I already dealt with this. I'm like, you
right.
did
Yeah. At that level. And now
at
there's a
that
new
level.
level. Yeah.
Now we're going a bit deeper. So, and it's
Yeah.
going to hit something a little bit different, and you shifted more. And so it's just a matter of sort of bringing it back in, dropping the root almost deeper, the
Hmm.
root of knowing and healing deeper into you so that you can
Hmm.
actually continue to heal.
Absolutely. Because, some of the uh, t- um, beliefs that we hold are very deeply rooted in our subconscious. And, some of them we learned even before we ourselves were able to speak.
Yep.
And so we learn them from the perspective of that child. And, we sometimes need to deal with them, from the perspective of an adult, and then the young person we were growing up, and take it right back to how the child perceived it. Because
Exactly.
sometimes our adult interpretation of things is not actually what it's about, because it's coming from something that happened for us much earlier in life.
Absolutely. I am currently going through this myself right now. I mean, I know I teach it, but I also practice it and I live it every
Absolutely.
day.
Hmm.
Um, because we're constantly growing and maturing and healing and better understanding ourselves and coming at our life from different perspectives and different places and different
Absolutely.
understandings.
Hmm.
So the more you allow yourself the grace and ease to heal and feel and be able to address things from a perspective of curiosity rather than self-blame or
Hmm.
anger or like, why am I doing this again? The better off we can be and the happier we can be as we're going through what sometimes feels like we're trying to walk through, waist deep mud or something.
Yeah, yeah. And some of those negative self-perceptions, um can be, they can really limit us, and some of them are based in a lot of the social conditioning that we received growing up. And, we've accepted some of those things like, oh, you can't do that, or, whatever it is, whatever the limitation is. And sometimes we don't even notice that we are unintentionally, perhaps, self-limiting ourselves, keeping ourselves in that sort of small version, which, though it may be uncomfortable, because usually the reason we're even looking at this at all is we've had something happen in our life, or we've just got to a point where we're feeling kind of burnt out and we know something's got to change. But this little safe world we've built for ourselves, even though it may be uncomfortable, is safe. And it's scary sometimes to step beyond that and to take that look at those challenges that come to us, whether it's burnout, whether it's, a divorce, a firing, a new job, a move, whatever it is in life. Take it and see it as the challenge that it is, but that's not a bad thing. That's,
No,
the underside, or the opposite of the challenge, is the opportunity that it offers us to
exactly.
grow again instead of staying in our little safe spot.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes, I mean, I remember when I was there and it was like, I just want to blow my whole life up
Yep.
because I couldn't see how small little shifts would actually make that big of a difference. I
Mhm.
wanted to just throw the baby out with the bathwater
Mhm.
and just start again. And
Well, and sometimes when we're feeling that low, sometimes that frustrated, that burnt out, that even desperate, yeah, we want the quick fix, we want to
yeah,
just fix it now.
yep,
But that isn't sustainable, and
it
it
isn't.
doesn't actually work for us.
And often when we do that, right, it's like, oh, I'll be happy when. I'll be happy when I get that new
Mhm.
job. I'll be happy if I blow this up and leave it all behind. I'll be happy if or when, X, Y, and Z happens. But the reality is, until you actually address what's going on inside of you, no amount of external change is actually going to make you happy.
That's right. So often in my psychotherapy practice, I see people who have done what I or taken what I call the geographical solution. Something hasn't worked, maybe a relationship has broken down, maybe they've lost a job, maybe whatever. And so they move.
Yep,
And that's a very human thing. We all think the grass is going to be greener somewhere else. But the problem is we bring our luggage with us, our baggage. So,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah. And
Absolutely.
it's the baggage that we need to address.
It is. It
Mhm.
is. And um, from my own experience, when you start opening yourself up to the healing and the growing and everything, if you aren't listening to the little nudges that the universe sort of drops along our way, the
Mhm.
universe will stop you to
Yep.
make you listen.
Yep, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I just a little bit of a backstory for everybody. I was
Yes,
off
let's hear your story and some of the challenges that led you to where you are today.
Um, so the main story that sort of got me to where I'm currently at, but it's definitely not my whole story, is
Mhm.
I was off on depression and anxiety back in 2017.
Mhm.
And I was seeing a social worker, I was seeing a psychologist, I was doing all of the work to be able to get myself better
Mhm.
that I thought I needed to be doing. Well, it wasn't enough. It was all sort of at the superficial level. It wasn't going deep, deep inside of me. I wasn't digging deep enough.
Mhm.
And something came up, and I ended up in a freak accident where I broke both ankles at exactly the same time, stepping off a
Oh my
curb.
goodness. Wow.
Yeah. So I thought I was ready to continue on, to move on, to keep going. And the universe was like, sweetheart, you haven't listened.
Yep.
So I was literally sat on my bum for 6 months in double air casts, not being able to do anything for myself other
Wow.
than sit.
Mm-hmm.
And it taught me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's where I found, I always knew there was more to life than everything we can see, touch, taste, smell, and hear.
Mm-hmm.
I knew there was more. I just couldn't figure out how to access that more.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I accessed it during that time frame,
Mm-hmm.
and it has led me to what I'm doing now. So, and I
Yeah,
love it.
that's fantastic. Yeah. So many of us have some sort of story where, the universe gave us a gentle or sometimes not so gentle nudge if we were, because sometimes I think we can be stuck and not even really know that we're stuck and following. If we do know that we're stuck, sometimes we call it burnout. Sometimes we have all sorts of names for it, but our society tells us to, well, if you're stuck, you just, put your nose to the grindstone and work harder, work harder. And of course, that's exactly the wrong answer, because what we really need is to pause
Hmm.
and, give our spirit time to speak, time to talk to us, and be willing
Yes.
to listen to it. Because,
Yes.
as soon as our spirit starts talking, that other little, negative mean girl in our head, which is mostly our egoic brain, says, well, that's stupid, or you can't do that, or blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And, we need to really intentionally decide, no, I'm gonna tune in to that small voice and really notice and try to work with what it's telling me, because we're
Exactly.
the experts on us,
Yep.
really. And I mean, I'm a psychotherapist. People come to see me too, but I don't fix people. I can't fix people. They need to fix themselves from within, you know.
Yes.
And I think sometimes people do, if they have the means, they get all sorts of professional help and that sort of stuff. But if they haven't been guided and supported and encouraged to look inside, um, it's often a lot of money spent that didn't really get them too far.
Exactly. Because we aren't taught how to trust ourselves.
That's
We
right.
aren't taught
Mhm.
how to trust our own inner knowing and to and I always say for women who I work with, right? It's like put yourself at the same level as you put everybody else. Because
Mhm.
as women, we are not designed or comfortable with putting ourselves ahead of everybody else. It's
Absolutely.
not something we're taught,
Hmm.
right? We're taught from a very young age, oh, be nice, give over, share,
Hmm.
help them out, blah, 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 right? And so for us to go, for somebody to say to us, oh, you need to put yourself first, you
Doesn't
panic.
ring true. Yeah, yeah, you
No.
do.
So
Hmm.
it's like
In
put
fact,
yourself
you
at
you
this.
outwardly deny it even, I use and I'm sure you used it as well. It's certainly not original to me. The example of when you're on an airplane, the flight attendant tells you if the air mask comes down, you must put it on yourself first. And most
Yep.
of us go, oh no, no, it goes on my baby or my loved one over here. But the fact is, if you don't put it on yourself first, you won't be there. And so you're not going to be there to help them,
Yep.
And I mean, I think many women are um, motivated
Hmm.
by wanting to be of service. And
Yes.
that's a wonderful thing. But nobody ever taught us that in order to be of service, you have to be able to keep yourself in good enough shape so that you have the energy, the ideas, whatever it takes to do that. And
Exactly.
a lot of times that message hasn't gone through, and I think that is a real key to why so many, not just women either, men too, but we're focusing on women today,
Yep.
um, get really burnt out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because we're not taught how to put ourselves, how to take care of ourselves.
Hmm.
Because we feel guilty for it. It's like, well, no, I have, these two people, these two pieces of cake. I have, a loved one and a child. Well, I'm going
Hmm.
to hand them to them and
Yeah.
I'm going to do without because
Hmm.
that's just what we do.
Hmm.
And the more we do that, the more we give away of ourselves and the less we have for
Hmm.
us. And we need all of us to be
Hmm.
able to be of service to others.
And
So,
I think that's what part of burnout is too often, is that we've been living a life by all the rules that society gave us and working hard at it, and sometimes even achieving a certain amount of society's idea of success.
Mhm.
Um, but we start to feel empty, discontent, unfulfilled, because we're not being our authentic selves,
Yeah.
and which means we're not being fully ourselves, you know.
Yes.
And I think, that idea, that concept, which on the surface is not a bad one at all. I mean, we need to, men and women, we need to serve each other. We need to serve our community, for everyone to, get along and grow. But somewhere along the line, there seemed to become this corollary that if I value my loved ones, my whatever, my partner, my colleagues, my community, then somehow that means I devalue myself.
Yeah.
That's not what it was supposed to be.
No, it wasn't. It really wasn't, because all we're doing is we're repeating a pattern, right? As a mother or a friend or loved one or aunt or whatever, right? We are then teaching the younger generation how we should behave as women.
Mm-hmm.
And we're teaching the men too, the boys, right? Oh, if they see a wife always giving, a mom always giving over to the dad, well, then that's what they're going to
That's
expect.
what it's supposed to be. Yeah.
But whereas if we start putting ourselves and treating ourselves like the queen of our own life, and treating our, if it's a husband, treating our husband as the king of his own life, and we come together as two whole
Mhm.
people, then our children will embody that and understand that and be able to, bring that forward. So, for those mothers out there who are going, oh, this all sounds great, but I don't have time to do it
Mhm.
for me, then I say to them, well, do it for your children.
Mhm.
Show
Mhm.
your children what it means to be a full, whole human being who can be fully present, fully themselves, fully authentic as they get older, as they get into relationships. And let's break the cycle of the societal norms right now of the woman does it all and the man is, the king of the castle. Well, no, no, no. The woman is the queen. You got to remember that.
Yeah. 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 Well, yeah, we need to, part of the thing is, if we don't treat ourselves with respect, then why would other people treat us with respect? If we
Exactly.
don't claim our own power, then, we don't teach other people the way we need to be treated, and that
Mhm.
we also have power and unique gifts and talents, that are undoubtedly not the same as our partners or our colleagues or anything else, because everybody's unique and everybody has their own gifts. And if we allow ourselves to be kept small, the world, the universe, our family, our partners isn't going to get to experience the fullness of us and the gifts that we have to give. And
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. And then the other side of this, and you raised a really interesting point that sort of popped into my mind, is as we start doing these small shifts, we ourselves are changing,
yes.
right? So, and we're doing all the work in our own head and our own body and our own heart, our own soul, but it takes a little bit of time for that to ripple out to our family and our loved ones.
Mhm.
So, and I had this happen because I'm like, I was doing something and my spouse was like reacted as if if it was still me from like the 6 months before.
Yeah.
And I got really upset. I'm like, I'm not that person anymore. And it took me a few minutes to go, well, wait a second. All my work's been internal.
Mhm.
I need to cut him a bit of slack because he doesn't know the new me
Right.
yet.
Yeah. Hmm.
So you need to allow time and space and grace to be able to, for the others around you to catch up as you're doing this work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And it is about not just the goal or the dream, whatever it is that you're pursuing. It's who you're becoming along the journey, you
Yeah.
know? And and actually that is better, because if we somehow, you know, I don't know, like you win the lottery and you get everything you dream for overnight. That really doesn't give anybody we know, including ourselves, a chance to adjust to that and to understand the new person that we've become, which almost always makes it unsustainable. I mean, how many times do we hear of people who won the lottery and, it's gone in however long, like,
Yep.
and they're back to either the way they were or sometimes even worse
Hmm.
because they feel then they have added on that disappointment, that sense of loss. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Absolutely. It's just, society has also trained us that everything's a quick fix. It's instant gratification, it's
That's what we're
instant quick
supposed to
fix,
aspire to, apparently.
apparently. But like the seasons, right? And like the flowers blooming in the spring and the summer, it takes time.
Hmm.
It takes time to things for things to grow. It takes time for things to bloom. And then as summer turns into fall, it also takes time for things to sort of decay and end
And
and
rest and yeah.
rest.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, I mean, I understand all the instant gratifications and I'm just as guilty of it as everyone else, right? I
Yeah.
mean, we get used to it, but we do also need to sit down and remember what time and space and grace mean. And you
Mhm.
just need to look at the days, the sun turning to the moon to the, and the stars coming back to the sun and the seasons and realize that, some of the most beautiful things take time.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I have a poster in my office, which shows, most of us would like our life to be a nice sort of straight line trajectory from pain or whatever is holding us back or upsetting us right up to, exactly where we want to be. But that is not how the creator created this world. We have seasons, some people say we live in a spiral universe, like our spiral DNA. It's changing, it's moving, it's turning all the time. But it's never sort of a straight line from point A to point B. It's, and my poster shows, reality is more like this, you know, and it is,
It
and
is.
that's not a bad thing. And when you do have your low, to realize that, because that's sometimes when people will throw in the towel and give up, like, well,
Mhm.
this isn't working, but maybe it is just that natural low and a time to pause again and, readjust or reinvigorate yourself for the next phase, you know?
And honestly, maybe it's a rest because the next phase you're going
Exactly.
into is going to be totally crazy.
Could
And
be. Yep.
and the
Yep.
universe knows, right? And it's like,
Hmm.
okay, take the time you need right now because you're about to skyrocket
Hmm. Hmm.
and you're not going to have the time you need.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
And the other aspect of that, and I want to bring this forward to everybody, is where you think you want to be
Hmm.
is based upon your own limited understanding of the universe.
Absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
not really based upon what is like unlimitless possibilities that are out there. And
Hmm.
maybe where you want to go, which is here, may not be the best place for you. And where you really want to go is up here,
Hmm.
because this is where you're going to get everything your heart desires, even though you think it's over here.
Yeah.
And
And
you
so
need to
many
allow.
times when the universe has, like I've always said, because it's happened to me twice in my life, I think, where the universe has sort of, it hasn't been a gentle nudge because I wasn't listening. It's been more of a, slap you up the side of the head with a 2x4.
Mhm.
And and this, the same thing in some ways with you breaking both feet at once, like that's not a little thing. It's a real wake up. Okay, you got to sit down now and you got to pause and you got to listen. But
Mhm.
the same thing, like for me it was once I got breast cancer and one time I broke my neck. And they were not great things, as I'm sure your broken feet were not great things to be
Mhm.
living through at the time. But now when I look back, I realize that I learned things out of both of those challenges, that I never would have learned otherwise, and so
Exactly.
really it was a gift in disguise, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. And I always say that there's always a miracle waiting to be discovered inside of a trauma.
Exactly.
Always.
Always. Yeah.
always.
Hmm.
Because, I was married to a narcissist who gave me my two wonderful boys.
Hmm.
I had health issues as a teenager, which allowed me, I didn't understand as a teenager what was going on. And that's a whole other trauma in itself. But I was able to understand with my youngest when I had to fight the medical system for him as a
Hmm.
teenager, right?
Yep.
So it
Yep.
was like, okay, this has finally tied the knot. Um, and then I just left my spouse who I thought I would, was going to be my forever spouse.
Hmm.
Um, but he wasn't willing to grow with me. And, it's like you need to walk your path. And I wouldn't have learned all of the things I've learned without going through all of these experiences.
Hmm.
And so
And
I
it's not that
completely,
the people around us are, sort of bad people or anything, they are in our lives for a reason, for us to learn from them and for them to learn from us.
mhm,
And but we have to remember that everybody's on their own path.
yep,
And sometimes the paths will come together and sometimes they will need to come apart. And
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
But the people who come in to replace the ones that leave are always the ones you need in your life.
That's right. Yep. Yep. Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
always, it's always a balance. It's always sort of give and take, an ebb and a flow. The same way, the path to where we actually want to get is like an ebb and a flow. It's a balance.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that really is the example that we see even at the most basic level in nature.
Yep,
There are times when things seem very harsh in nature, but they always balance out.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. So it sounds like the audience that you sort of serve is pretty similar to mine. It's women who have played the game, done everything by the rules, achieved some of the things that society says would make them successful. They've got the degree or the diploma, they've got the partner, they've got the kids, they've had the job or career, but they've reached a point in their life where maybe the universe has given them a nudge, or maybe they are just feeling that sense of um, kind of being drained, maybe feeling a bit stuck, a bit overwhelmed, a
Hmm.
bit not authentic to themselves, and they're starting to wonder, well, what happened to the me that I knew,
Yep.
what happened to my goals and my dreams. And
Yep.
they're starting to, because they're noticing that, they're starting to be ready. The universe is preparing them to take the next step. But that's why they come to see people like us to help them clarify and blueprint out, if you want, what the next steps should be, because a
Hmm.
lot of people aren't sure, or they've
Nope.
been told that their dreams or their goals are stupid or unattainable or whatever. And
Exactly.
we have to get over that, because if we are connected to the energy of the universe, really, I mean, I know it sounds sort of Pollyanna-ish, but with that power within us and being part of it as well, almost nothing is impossible.
Exactly.
It's not going to
Exactly.
necessarily come the way we, as with our little human mind, think it should, or the way it's going to look, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you need to, as I keep telling my clients, it's like you need to visualize what you want, but allow the how to happen the way it's supposed to.
Yes. And I think a lot of us get stuck on the how, because really our society, with its love of technology and its love of the intellect and our ability to rationalize everything, which is all good, but it has taught us to think that if we can't figure out the how, then it's not going to happen, and it
Exactly.
shouldn't happen. And the
Exactly.
thing is, the how isn't really what we should be asking. We need to be asking why, or why not, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Yeah. It's so true. I mean, I worked 25 plus years in corporate, right? So
Hmm.
private sector, not for profits, all of that. So I have a very practical mind.
Hmm.
I love computers,
Hmm.
but and marrying the practicality with the spiritual and the magic and the allowance of a power or source greater than ourselves to step into my life can be challenging at times because
Absolutely.
I'm like, but I know what I'm doing. What do you mean I can't do this? What do you mean I can't take this step?
Yeah.
Well, you can't take the step, you're going to break your ankles again. So
Mhm.
let me intervene and help you out. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And we've really come to, I think, sort of believe that if you can't empirically prove something, then it doesn't exist. But, spirituality and practicality, it's only in, our more recent Western history that people have thought they were mutually exclusive. I mean,
yep.
if you look at, and I'm certainly not an expert, but if you look at other cultures or you look at indigenous culture, they've
Hmm.
never been mutually exclusive. They've always gone together and nobody even thought twice about it.
Exactly, exactly. Because it is so important that you trust your inner knowing to
Mhm.
continue to advance.
Exactly, exactly. And it is a real, valuable, tangible part of us,
Very
that,
much so.
when we deny it or discount it or dismiss it, we end up inadvertently, kind of damaging ourselves, limiting ourselves for sure. Yeah,
Very much so.
yeah.
Very, very much so.
So, can you tell me a little bit about the program that you offer?
So the Circle Method program is a 16 session program where I literally meet my clients right where they're at. So if it's and most of the time it's somebody who is spiritually either inclined or interested even, or they just know like there's just
Mhm.
this just doesn't feel right. There's more. There's got to
Yeah.
be more.
Yep.
And I really, for some reason, the imagery that's coming to my mind is you have this closet or this junk room or this junk drawer, and you're literally pulling everything out and just keeping what's important.
Hmm.
And that is really what I do for people. It's like,
Hmm.
who are you at your core? Let's
Hmm.
remove the expectations that others have put upon you, that you have put on yourself, that um, things that just no longer fit right. So I think that's why the closet came in, right? Because you often keep
Yeah.
clothes, or
Hmm.
maybe I'll be able to wear it again, or that was my favorite shirt, or so and so gave it to me, so I need to keep it. And it's like,
Yeah.
no, who are you? What's important to you?
And
What
that
is
can be a
happening?
real breakthrough for a lot of people because a lot of us have been, and I don't mean this in a negative way, it's kind of what we're taught and conditioned to do, but a lot of us have been kind of pretending it,
Mhm.
and being the person that we thought the people around us, our job, our community, or whatever needed.
Exactly.
And it's can be scary sometimes, but also it can be a breakthrough and a revelation when
Hmm.
we start to understand, who we really are and what's actually valuable about us, you know.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure.
And it's
Okay,
about living life
so
in alignment.
yes, yes. So I noticed when you put out your promotional stuff, you have circle as the letters. So do the letters stand for something in particular?
They do.
Yeah.
It stands for clarifying inner realities, co-creating life's experiences.
Oh, cool. Yes.
Because for me, life doesn't happen to you, life
Yes.
happens with you.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And
So,
I think one of the things that causes people generally, in this case, we're talking about women, pain is that at some level, even if they can't verbalize it, um, they come to realize that they have been living their life kind of by default, letting life just sort of, rather than by design. and
Exactly.
the feeling of confidence and competence and your own sort of personal power that comes from realizing that I can design my life to
Hmm.
make it look like what I would love. I
Hmm.
really can do that because I think a lot of us are taught that we can't do that. It has to be
Exactly.
authorized or structured or whatever by somebody else or some authority outside of ourselves. And
Hmm.
yet we are the authority on ourselves, you know.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. We really are. And it's a matter of learning or relearning how to listen to that
Mhm.
again.
Exactly. Mhm.
And making choices. I mean, you may be like, I mean, I wanted to be a lawyer when I was a child, and I'm doing the exact, and I mean, like, but it's that dream that I had, and it's finding the adult version or the current version of who you are and what dream you currently have,
Mhm. Mhm.
and walking forward to it. So,
Yeah. But I think it is also important because it's something I talk to clients a lot about too, is that the time sort of up until now, the things that you learned, there are no right or wrongs, but some of the things that you learned were more functional for you than others, but they
mhm.
brought you to this point. And so it's not wasted time.
No,
Sometimes I think people think, oh, geez, like I hear people all the time if I'm doing, counseling with someone after a separation of some sort, they'll go, I wasted 10 years of my life with that guy or whatever. No, it's never a waste. It's all learning, you know,
exactly.
and it's brought you here. And now it's time for some new learning and some different learning.
Exactly. And the other thing I want to remind people, because that was a really good point, is where you are now should never go back and judge where you were.
Yes, exactly. Because we're not the same people.
We didn't know then what we know now. And
Mhm.
you're literally like, it would be like, telling your baby, why couldn't you walk the minute you came out of my womb?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you would never even imagine doing that. Well, it's the
Hmm.
same kind of thing for yourself. We
Absolutely.
constantly are going through growth
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
transformation. So
Yeah,
cut yourself some
absolutely.
slack.
Yeah. So is your program primarily online or is there one-to-one work in person or?
It's all one-to-one work, either online or in person. So if
Okay.
somebody's in Orleans or Ottawa area,
Hmm.
Carleton Place is fine too. I can definitely work with them one-on-one, but normally it's a 90-minute session online, and we do everything.
Hmm.
Everything and anything. It could be, talk therapy, it could be energy clearing. The cards may want to come out and have a
Hmm.
say because there's something that you're missing that the cards actually are able to channel better than
Hmm.
whatever
Yep.
I'm able to say. I also do neurographic art therapy
That sounds
to
interesting.
help. Yeah, so it's basically shifting the connections within our brains. So it's done on paper, and it brings back our, coloring, our favorite activity when we were a child, which is often coloring. But it's like color outside the lines and find where you are, what you want, and then pinpoint your block. And let's get rid of the block and reconnect
Oh,
from where you are to where you want to be. And because it's a visual, active, like you're actually writing it on paper, you can actually see it, you're actually doing the connection or reconnecting in a different way. It actually helps transition and fix,
yeah. Sounds like a very powerful strategy.
it is. I mean, it's like journaling, but it can be
Yes.
done
Hmm.
sort of, with colors instead, because a lot of
Yes.
I find some people don't like journaling or don't like
That's right.
meditating, but they're
Hmm.
able to do this and let their mind be a bit freer because they're focused on something else. So the
Yes.
intuition comes
Yes.
through more.
Right. Very interesting. Okay. Well, believe it or not, our time is just about up. So I wanted to ask you if you had a gift that you wanted to share with our audience.
I do. And it is going to be my Everyday Magics journal.
Wonderful.
And What this is it's practical ways to implement spirituality or spiritual practices into your everyday. And it's a 30-day journal, which it's actually about 60 some odd pages because there's a
Mhm,
lot of other bits and pieces in it as well.
mhm.
And you're able to print it out. It's digital and um, just follow through for the 30 days. And I'm going to remind everybody you can restart whenever you need to.
Mhm.
Because we all are guilty of that, right? We're like, oh yeah, we're
Absolutely.
gung ho, gonna do the
Yeah,
first 3 days, and
yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
squirrel.
Some life intervenes and off we're on another tangent. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. But the reality is you can always start again, and you don't
Hmm.
have to wait. Any minute, any time can be a restart.
Hmm. Hmm. Oh, that's wonderful.
So,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
I think, and we so often hear when someone is perhaps thinking about signing on to our program or whatever, we so often hear, oh, I've tried programs before and nothing works, you know?
Yeah.
And I understand that feeling of frustration. But, we also have to remember that most of this type of learning, and sometimes it's actually even retraining our brain and our thought processes and our behavioral habits. That only happens through practice. It's not
Yes.
a quick fix. It's not, okay, here's the recipe, go do this tomorrow and everything will be wonderful.
Yeah.
And it's like anything else, when we were whatever, 4 and learning our ABCs, or 8 and learning our multiplication tables. You do it for a couple times and then you forget to do it for 3 days, and it'd be a little rusty when you came back, but you could pick it up, and you keep practicing it until eventually it's like second nature, and it's part of, you've integrated it into yourself and into your lifestyle and your habits. Yeah.
Exactly. And I also want to remind people, take a look at how old you are
Hmm.
and realize that it took you this number of years to get to where you're at right now.
Right.
You need to cut yourself a little bit of slack. It's going to
Hmm.
take you longer than a week to
Sure.
get to
Yeah.
where you want to
Yeah.
be.
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
I have so many people, I want this. I'm like, that's
Hmm.
great. I'm
Hmm.
glad you want it. Let's go for it now.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. I think you've given us some really good insights and some good knowledge about the program that you offer, and a wonderful opportunity to pick up your journal. So I really appreciate the time, and I've enjoyed this conversation. I'm sure that our audience did as well. So
Well, thank
thanks
you
so
so
much,
much.
Tammy.
Thank you so much, Allison. It's been wonderful.
Good. Okay. Well, you and I will talk again, I know, but and I
Yes.
hope lots of other people will check out your website and try to get your gift and things like that. So
Thank
thanks
you.
so much and have a wonderful afternoon.
You too. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.